All right, what we're going to do is practice naming an organic molecule. This is one of the things that you need to be able to do. So I drew a structure out of a molecule that we're going to try to name. Now, one of the things I suggest that you're doing when you're first learning how is go ahead and put a dot for the carbons. Technically, you're not supposed to do that. But practically, when you're still first learning the structures, it makes it easier to count the carbons and not the lines in between the carbons or the bonds in between the carbons. So with that said, let's go ahead and take a look at this structure. Now, when I'm looking at this structure, the first thing is I've got to decide what the parent is. And the rule is you pick the longest hydrocarbon chain. So let's go ahead and just start taking a look at this. If I say start looking at this from the left-hand side and I go from this carbon to here, I come across that branching point on the third carbon. Here, if I start down here, 1, 2, 3, 4, it's fourth carbon I come across. So this is going to be a longer path on this side of the molecule. Now, it's not always going to be straight across or up and down. You've got to take a look to figure it out, what the longest path is. Now, if I keep going from this point and I'm circling the parent, again, it's not necessary to circle it, but it helps you focus on it when you're first learning. When I get to this point, it's 2 more carbons out from here, or 2 more out from here, or 2 more out from there. It seems like it's the same distance, but then we have to go to the next rule. If 2 paths are the same, then you pick the path with the most branching. That will give you more groups, but they'll be simpler groups to name. So with that said, I'm going to come down this way. Now, I could go either to the left or to the right. It's going to be the same distance, so I'm just going to go in that direction. And that's going to be my parent molecule. So I take a look at this and I count the number of carbons. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So the parent molecule is going to be an octane. Now, what I'm going to do is write the parts and then add them all up at the end. Here we go. I've got an octane, but what is coming off of this octane? And where are they coming off? To figure out where they're coming off, I'm going to have to decide which end of the chain to number things from. Now, if I take a look at the left, again, the rule is that you pick the side or you number it from the side that has the closest branching point. If I number it from this side, I don't hit my first branching point to the fourth carbon. If I number it from this side, I hit the first branching point on the second carbon. So we're going to number it from this side. Eight carbons. So this octane, and now let's go ahead and take a look at where our branches are. The first branching point is a methyl group on carbon 2. So I'm going to write 2-methyl. Now, I'm not saying that that's the next thing in the chain. I'm just putting down the groups that I have. By the way, whenever you have a number next to a letter, you always put a hyphen in between them. What else do we have in here? Well, on the third carbon, we have an ethyl group, but on the fifth carbon, we have another ethyl group. So what we would do is write 3-5, because those are the places of my 2 ethyl groups. If there's 2 of them, I say it's diethyl. Now, next thing to do is there's no more groups. I just put them all together for the name. So let's go ahead and decide how we're going to list them, the order. The parent name always goes last. But what do we do with the other names? Well, what I'm going to do is I'm going to list them in alphabetical order. So I'm going to count the M for the methyl group. I don't count the D for a di, or if I had 3 groups to try, I count that it's an ethyl group. So you don't count the little prefix right here telling you how many ethyl groups you have. So with that said, what comes first alphabetically? Obviously it's going to be E. So let's go ahead and write the name of this molecule now. It's going to be 3, 5 hyphen diethyl. And then I list the methyl group. Now, since the first part of it is the number 2 where the methyl group is, I have to put a hyphen and a 2-methyl. Again, I separate that letter and that number by a hyphen. The last thing is just going to be the parent name. You don't leave a space, you run it right into it. So the name of this molecule, 3,5-diethyl 2-methyl octane. I've color-coded them so that you can see them a little bit better, but that's basically how you name organic molecules.